Welcome to the Near Memo, a weekly conversation about search, social, and commerce. What happened, why it matters, and the implications for local. Welcome back, everybody. We're now on episode 182 of the Near Memo, and joining me today are David Mim and Mike Blumenthal, as always. And we're going to talk today about Google's legal situation now that Trump has won the White House. And more interesting than that is going to be a discussion about the outlook for Search GPT. Now it's part of ChatGPT. And Mike is going to talk about the new Siri. He's been testing it and what he thinks it means and what we all think it means for search and potentially for Google competition. So I'm going to lead off with a kind of a revised outlook for Google. Google, of course, as you know, was found to be in violation of the Sherman Antitrust Act. And they're now in the remedial phase of the process where the Justice Department has proposed a bunch of remedies, kind of in a vague sense, including potentially breaking up Google. They're due to file another brief with much more specific detail shortly, and then the court has said it will make a decision in next year about what to do, which of course could be appealed. Microsoft, as you remember, was scheduled to be broken up into 2 or 3 parts. I think it was 3. And upon appeal and subsequently discussions with the Bush administration, they settled the case, and really very little happened to Microsoft at all. And we're in a very analogous situation today. You know, the Bush administration in 2000, which settled the case with Microsoft, sort of came in and changed the outlook for Microsoft in the case. And now that Trump has won the White House, it's a very, very analogous situation. Trump has said, he's not said explicitly he wouldn't break up Google, but he's sort of intimated that because he thinks it would help China. He thinks that Chinese companies would be strengthened by a weakened Google. So the likelihood that Google will now be broken up is much less than had Harris won the White House, although Harris is a friend to the tech industry, and so she might have gone easy on them as well or directed the Justice Department to do that. So I think that Google will emerge from this largely unscathed, although there will be some minor things that they have to do, perhaps data sharing, the end of the default search agreements, and so on. But it really radically changes the whole posture of the case, I think, for Google. And Sundar
the Google
Pichai,
case was started under the Republican administration of Trump.
Yes. Ironically, it was, and Trump was doing that as a largely vindictive move because he felt that Google was unfair to him.
Well, there is a fair segment of the Republican Party that supports antitrust and supports the idea of limiting the power of these large corporations. So that's one. The interesting thing, from where I sat, even if Harris got elected, Khan's job seemed to be on the line, and I don't know about Cantor's job, but the DOJ antitrust person. It seems both of those will be likely replaced with Republicans, and I would think the loss of Cantor, if you lose Cantor, you lose a tremendous amount of continuity and sort of structure to the case, and that would be a real setback. If they keep Cantor, I don't think anybody was going to keep Khan. But if they keep Cantor, that really would indicate that they're not looking to settle. If they fire him, then I think that would be a pretty good indicator that they're going to change directions.
I think you have in the new administration a very anti-regulatory regime that is going to weaken regulation across the board. And I think that's what
true,
Musk
but that
wants.
is separate from antitrust. I mean, I think that the philosophical beliefs that drive them are different. And there is a large segment of the Republican Party that thinks that the corporate power is too great and supported the antitrust moves in 2016, 2017, when the DOJ case was brought out. So there's some conflicts and contradictions there, but I agree with you. I mean, I think the EPA is toast. I think public health is toast. All of those things, but I don't know that antitrust is.
Well, that very much remains to be seen. I think
Sure.
I would challenge you to. I think there were a lot of Republicans, a lot of the AGs from Republican states were on board with the antitrust action, but the motivations of Democrats and Republicans were quite different in this case. I think the Republicans have long felt that the big tech companies have supported the left and that they have felt censored, which is not justified by the facts. But nonetheless, I think that the stars aligned for them to come together to go after Google and to a lesser degree some of the other companies. I think that whole picture has changed, and I don't think we're going to see a lot of Republican support for antitrust in the new administration. But we'll see. We'll see what happens.
I was just going to say
there's a lot more tech bro support of the Trump administration than there was in 2016, and that could change the flavor. But go ahead, David. Sorry.
Yeah, that's right. I was going to say that Google has leveraged the Trump legal strategy to tremendous effect here in terms of delay, appeal, and has basically been able to run out the clock if your perception holds true, Greg. And as with many cases ongoing and completed, it seems to me that the defendant's right to a speedy trial guaranteed by the Constitution needs to be augmented by the public's right to speedy trials in these kinds of situations, because I think we're seeing the consequences of I don't even know exactly what to call it, but the sort of
procedural
delay.
Yeah.
But I would say that the dysfunction of the American court system, having pretty significant effects on the welfare of the general public, or the welfare
on everything really
of small. In this particular case, the welfare of smaller businesses whose livelihoods are sort of at the whim of Google, and probably will continue to be so over the next decade. So.
Yeah, I mean, I foresee, even though I said we were going to keep this short, I foresee sort of it'll be very interesting because, competition is really important, and that's a bland statement. Competition in the tech sector is really important for innovation, right? And I think that to allow the concentration of power to increase in a handful of companies, a small number of companies, is very problematic. And I agree that the Republicans don't want that, Mike. I think they don't want such concentration in such a few number of oligarchical hands that it's going to harm competition sort of across the board. So we'll see what that means. But I don't think that I think we're just going to have a very laissez-faire kind of treatment of almost everything here in the economy going forward. But we'll see.
Thanks for joining David, Mike, and Greg. To stay on top of the latest developments in local, subscribe to our newsletter at nearmedia.co. We'll see you next week.